after our first session, I went upstairs, and it was almost like a habit that I switched the light on and went to scan, and it was like a voice in the back of my head said, oh no, you don't need to do that. And it was the weirdest thing.
I'm here with Charlotte, and Charlotte was one of my previous clients for Spider. And we're just on this Zoom call today just to discuss what happened in the sessions and a journey up until now. So thanks very much for joining me, Charlotte. Hope you're
welcome.
Well. Before you came to see me, what were the issues that you had?
So for as long as I can remember, I've had a phobia of spiders. I would have called it a phobia. But looking back, it was probably a fear up until I had my daughter, had postpartum anxiety, and then the spider fear exacerbated tenfold. So that was the point. I thought, I've got to do something about this. I don't want my daughter to be frightened of them either.
Had you tried anything before contacting them to get rid of this phobia?
So I'd had a few courses of hypnotherapy about 7 years before in relation to spiders, and that was something that was offered to me through work, and it did help. It did help. I would say that it helped me to rationalise my fear.
How did this issue affect you?
If I saw a spider, it sounds dramatic, but it was very debilitating. Coming up to spider season, I was a wreck. So I'd got myself into this awful habit of changing the bed every day, hoovering every day, furniture very sparse, no washing around, peppermint oil everywhere, curtains, headboards, sofas, conkers, all the normal stuff. Wouldn't have the doors open, wouldn't go outside and sit in the garden, wouldn't go camping. It was definitely ruling my life at that point.
Did you find any of those kind of old techniques of the peppermint oil, the conkers, any of them really work for you?
Peppermint oil definitely does help. I will say that.
Good to know.
And a cat. I recommend a cat also. But apart from that, it was just almost like a ritual that made me feel a little bit better. But during September and October, I wouldn't sleep. I'd sleep if I'd go to bed, the light would be on. And that was the norm for me, really. Anyway, during September and October, there was an aspect of that always.
Ultimately, spiders still got in, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, they're in, aren't they? They're in anyway.
Yeah. What made you decide now is the time to fix it?
Well, one of the biggest things was that I didn't want my daughter to be scared of them. I knew mine was learnt behaviour. All my family are petrified of spiders. And I can recall so many times where I've seen sisters, parents screaming and being so scared of them. So I didn't want to do that. I knew I needed to stop that. But also, I'd got this anxiety. There was so many other things going on with my anxiety, and I was triggered to so many other things that it was almost like the spider phobia was just the tipping point. And I thought, I need to at least attempt to get a hold on it.
What kind of made you decide that I was the person that could potentially help you?
Research, really. So I was pretty confident that I'd tried all the old wives' tales. And I just was looking. I knew that the hypnotherapy had helped before. So that was kind of my go-to. And then I was just scrolling the internet and your name kept popping up. And I liked that you specifically focused on phobias. So that I was drawn to that.
What were your kind of thoughts on hypnosis before working with me?
I was always intrigued by it. I believed in it. So even if it didn't give me the outcome I wanted the first time round. I knew there was power to it. I knew there was some power in it. I wouldn't say I was skeptical of it. What I would say though is the hypnotherapy I had before wasn't anything like we did. Like when I think back to the last hypnotherapy, it was very cliche. It was what you would have thought hypnosis would be. So the way we did it was so different in a really good way that you don't even realise.
I kind of pride myself on me being different than other hypnotherapists, and some of the techniques and tools that we go through is so radically different. It comes as a bit of a surprise to people when we do them and go through them. How would you describe your experience with working with me?
It was brilliant, to be honest. I think for me, the big like aha moment, I think, was our third session when you said at the start of the session, look, I think we need to put the phobia to the back burner a little bit and focus on your anxiety, because that's the cause. And I remember thinking, oh, if you can help my anxiety, then that would be amazing. And that was exactly what you did. And you were right. As soon as the anxiety kind of was under control, the phobia just almost melted away. It was really, really good. In terms of the techniques and things, when I tell people about you, I always describe it as you coach, so you provide the tools for me to manage it. It's empowering because you send us away, if you like, with everything we need to say, okay, so if this happens again, I've got this. Which was brilliant. So when you feel it, when you've got a phobia, I find that you feel so useless and lost, and not, because most of the time it's irrational. That to come out of something and be like, well, I've got everything I need now. I've got all these techniques. I've got the confidence. I know exactly what I'm doing with it. Is much better than having a couple of sessions and being like, I'm cured, and then that being the end of it.
Yeah, you're completely right. So I very much like to teach the techniques to my clients so that they are set up for life. I don't want my clients coming back to me with new fears, new phobias, new anxieties, or stuff that life has thrown at them, because I would prefer my clients to have the tools and techniques so that they can deal with life as and when life throws stuff. And it's like that saying, you give someone a fish and they'll eat it a day, but if you teach them how to fish, they're set up for life. I like to set my clients up for life so that they know that they've got this, and it's now then down to them to put it into practice. And it's exactly what you found happened. At what moment did you realise this was working for you?
After our first session, I went upstairs, and it was almost like a habit that I switched the light on and went to scan, and it was like a voice in the back of my head said, oh no, you don't need to do that. And it was the weirdest thing. And then I'd walk into another room and it'd say, oh no, you haven't got time to do that. And it was just like, it would just stop me. It was really strange. So I knew after the first session something was happening, but I think I felt after the third session I was getting a hold of the phobia.
What would you say to someone watching this right now, thinking about having hypnotherapy with me? What would you say to that person, or what would you say to the old you?
I would say, even if you're the biggest skeptic on the planet, that skepticism needs to massively outweigh your phobia, because if your phobia is so severe that you're even considering it, then do it. 100% do it, because what have you got to lose? And I remember having that conversation with my partner, and it was what have we got to lose? You've tried everything else, but it will work. It will. I never ever thought I'd be able to go camping, sit in the garden, go and get something out of the shed without realising. I'd never thought I'd be able to do that. And I'm doing it all the time. Finding spiders with my daughter, naming them, putting them back outside in the garden. Like, that's the sort of stuff I'm doing, instead of walking into a room, scanning everything, spraying everything with peppermint oil. It's 100% worth it.
You said that your sisters now contact you to get rid of spiders. What's going on there?
So my sisters will often call me to just do something that they're too scared to do. So a couple of weeks ago, my younger sister, they're both younger, wanted to mow her lawns. The lawnmower was in the shed, but she was too scared to go and get the lawnmower out of the shed. So she called me. So I went round and got the lawnmower out of the shed.
Oh, so you've become that person that you used to rely on to get things out of the shed and to sort out spiders. So now you're that person. Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, I am so proud of myself. Like, it's mad. It's mad, but I won't realise I'm doing them. It'll be after the fact. So I'll go in the shed, or something silly like I'll go and peg the washing out. That was always a big drama, going to peg the washing out on the line, and it won't be till afterwards I'll think, oh, I've just been in the shed. Oh, and then it'll dawn on me what I've done, rather than having to almost prepare myself to do it. I do it without thinking, and then after the fact I'll give myself a little pat on the back, because I think, oh, brilliant, just done that.
Yeah, no, it's been a real pleasure working with you and seeing how amazing you've done since our last session. And lastly, is there anything else you want to say to let people know or talk about that we haven't mentioned already?
It is life-changing. It's worth going for. Even if you're skeptical, do it.
So thank you very much for answering these questions and showing people that things can change, and change is possible. So thank you very much for joining me today. And
thank you, Stuart, for everything.
You're welcome. I look forward to hearing more stories of how you conquered more spiders in the future.
Yes, I'll keep you posted.